If you could pick one guy that you've ever worked with, ever, in any promotion ever, that you could guarantee would tear the house down when you guys work together, who would that one guy be?
AJ Styles.
Oh, okay.
Easy choice. I mean, that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody who's known us. I mean,
Right.
We've been doing this, and especially against each other at a high level for years. And he hasn't lost a step, and his game is better than ever. And yeah, I mean that's an easy answer as far as like who I can say consistently throughout my career that's happened with. And to a certain aspect now, and this isn't just because we have a match coming up. I mean, the truth is, like, anytime me and Roman have gotten in there and mixed it up, I think we definitely feed off each other's energy, which is usually amped up in these situations.
Hey, what's up, Joe? It's Robbie talking now. I'm the scrawny, nerdy kid that interviewed you what felt like maybe 1,000 times over the course of WrestleMania weekend with Pat McAfee.
I thought you had a proud chin and you had a lot of potential. So I mean,
oh wow.
I guess we see things differently. I guess whatever.
Wow. Very nice.
How much of who you are as a person reflects on your wrestling character? How much of it is an extension of yourself versus something that you creatively came up with?
It's a piece of myself. I think, I don't know, like if this was an exaggeration, if Samoa Joe was an exaggeration of me, I still feel like I was a pretty terrible person because he's rotten. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's aspects, and some amplified, some not, and you just kind of that's all part of the process.
Right, and I mean, people that have been following your professional wrestling career all over the place. Obviously, you've been all over the world wrestling. So I guess now we're living in an age where guys that are coming up through NXT, they are taken in, and they're almost, it's like a wrestling production factory where they're like, okay, we can mold you from scratch. But you, when you came to NXT, you were already very well versed. You were very well experienced. You were already a finished product. Talk about your experience in NXT, and do you think it was more difficult for you having that background coming in there?
No, not at all. Made it easier. I mean, all those kids down there, they're young, they're really stupid. So I mean, I was tricking them left and right. I mean,
Yeah.
they're gullible as can be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, getting into NXT, it was a great experience for me because starting out there, for me, I was able to prove to the company, like, listen, if I'm everything that I say I am, and here's the proof. And it was a small time, but during that time, I was able to kind of just say, hey, listen, this isn't hype. This isn't me telling you what I can do for you guys. This is me showing you. And NXT was part of that process, and I was more than happy to participate in that and do that. Because I mean, that's pretty much everywhere that I've worked in my career. There's always been a proving period that I've had to go through, and it's something that I don't shy away from, and I don't, I never feel insulted. Like, oh, I shouldn't have to prove myself. Like, if you want me to prove myself, I can't wait. Like there's nothing that gives me more satisfaction than silencing doubt with action, and that was very much, to me, what NXT was about.
How was that weekend for you, WrestleMania weekend? Was it a bit bittersweet because, you obviously weren't there for the show of shows WrestleMania, but you were coming back on Raw, and I assume you knew that you would be back one of those shows.
Yeah, I did. And
you didn't tell us. That's a little rude.
Yeah, I did. You got me. Woo! Guilty as charged. Yeah, man. I think I mentioned this to somebody else earlier. Like, it'd be disappointing to me if I didn't know it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think for other people, they wonder about that. I don't wonder about that. Like, and I'm not just being a dick and trying to be confident about it. Like, I don't worry about lost opportunity. You just got to start looking for the next one. And the minute I got injured and when the timetables weren't lining up like they should, I had already decided I was already looking for the next opportunity. So it was all about the night after WrestleMania, and that was my focus.
And on that night when you came back and you cut that awesome promo, it felt very real. It felt like stuff that you had been holding back for months. Like when you were on the shelf, were you mapping out my return promo is going to be this and it's going to be that? Because it seemed like it lived up to all expectations.
Uh, I'm not. I'm not and much to probably some of the production staff's detriment. I'm not big on the promo prep and really meticulously mapping out my wording. And sometimes it's a benefit, sometimes it's a boon, and sometimes it blows up in your face. But yeah, it's more. It's definitely emotion driven, and if any of that motion came through from my time off, then yeah, so be it.
Well, I think it did, and you were on Raw, but it's only a brief stint because right in the next week you were taken to SmackDown in the Superstar Shakeup. How did you find out about that?
I found out when they told me when I got to Superstar Shakeup. Pretty much. I mean, I think like they give us no heads up. I mean, it's chaotic that week. You got to rebook your cars and your flights and everything. It's nuts. But
wow.
Yeah, it's legit. Like, you know, everybody has to make all these travel alterations last minute. But I mean, that's just that comes with the turf. So yeah, I found out that week, and you know, of course you're kind. I don't know. It's weird because you're like you're kind of like what, you know, like, and then you sit there and you know, I thought about like kind of the matchups that are possible now that I'm over on SmackDown, and I was like, yeah, I can deal with this. And so yeah, I'm kind of looking forward now. After much reflection, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it as well, and we'll talk about the matchups that are available on SmackDown in just a second, but was there anyone on Raw that you hadn't worked with that you were a little bit disappointed with, that maybe you were, you know, really itching to work with, and now you're on SmackDown and you're going to miss out for a little bit?
That I probably didn't work with directly. Like, I mean, I think, you know, Bray Wyatt, I think it can make for an interesting little battle of the worlds there. So, I mean, I think that was one that, you know, I really missed. And I mean, really there was a bunch, but yeah, it's I think that's one that kind of sticks out in my head.
That is an intriguing matchup. And now over on SmackDown, who are the names that stick out in your head? I imagine Daniel Bryan's high on the list.
Daniel Bryan's probably up there near the top of that list. I mean, obviously the champ, AJ, Shinsuke, Randy Orton, Rusev. You know, these are names that I keep bringing up, but I mean, it's for a reason. I think these are, you know, kind of like the guys that I'm mapping out and targeting. You know, it's kind of it's a real. I think it'd be easier to find people that you wouldn't want to see in matches with over on SmackDown.
Yeah, for sure.
Find guys that you wouldn't want to see in the ring with.
And SmackDown has kind of, you know, assembled itself to be very reminiscent of the Ring of Honor class that you came up with.
Yeah.
There's like so many names from these Ring of Honor pay-per-views. You could pretty much just look at a DVD from 2005 and just import it into today.
Yeah, and I've kind of echoed this sentiment before. Like, none of us are really surprised. You know, you know, I think when I've come up through this industry and I keep sitting in locker rooms and looking across that locker room and seeing the same consistent faces, you know, throughout my career, it's not a surprise to us anymore. You know, like these are guys who, you know, who've tested their craft all over the world, who've, you know, put together some of the most amazing matches you're going to see, and to see them all in the same locker room, you know, gathered together again, you know, shouldn't be as big of a surprise at this point, especially if you follow any of our careers for any amount of time, because you're going to see our names always intertwined and interlinked, you know, throughout our careers.
Yeah, so let's talk about this Sunday. We got Backlash. It's in our backyard in Newark, New Jersey. You got Roman Reigns. Why is this match going to be different than all of the other times that you've faced off against Roman Reigns? What do you think adds to this match? What's the intrigue to this one?
It's more about breaking Roman Reigns at this point. I mean, listen, you know, I've echoed this sentiment before. That he's a failure, and I mean, he keeps lying to himself, telling himself that he's not, and this is very much about breaking Roman Reigns. I mean, he made a statement when he, you know, put out the Undertaker. So obviously that worked real well. But now I'm saying, like, you know, I'm going to break this guy's spirit. You know, like this golden boy, this guy who's supposed to be the one. I mean, this is my introduction to the SmackDown roster. I break Roman Reigns, and then I go after the WWE Championship.
It is a real power move to break him and then like be like, all right, see ya. Like, you're not getting a rematch because I'm headed packing.
I'm not going to say I'm going to go as far as to make him humble or anything. I'm just saying, you know, get broken a little bit.
It's a hell of a move, and I can't wait for the matchup. The entire Backlash card is a really fun one. It's got Raw and SmackDown. We got dual-branded pay-per-views again. Like I said, it'll be at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey on May 6th. That is this Sunday, and streamed around the world on the WWE Network. Samoa Joe will take on Roman Reigns, and what I assume will be the main event. Nia Jax is going to defend her Raw Women's Championship against Alexa Bliss. A little WrestleMania rematch there. Daniel Bryan facing a returning Big Cass, two guys that were on the shelf for a long time back. Big Cass, kind of our boy.
Love Big Cass.
At the same time, Daniel Bryan, kind of my boy. Did I shoot Big Cass a text message and threaten him and be like, seriously, don't hurt him? Maybe, I might have. Charlotte looks to reclaim the SmackDown Women's title from Carmella, and there's so much more. It's a really fun card. Joe, thank you so much for the time. We're looking forward to it. Good luck against Roman Reigns this Sunday.
Well, fellas, you guys have a good day.
Luck is for losers, Joe. Remember that.
Yes, always.
That's right.
Always.